Should I tell you about some of the encounters?
Yeah, I would
Okay.
love to hear it. Yeah.
One of the more remarkable ones, I went down to Góra Kalwaria, which is about 25 miles south of Warsaw. So I stayed in Warsaw. I made it a day trip out of Warsaw. And Góra Kalwaria, I'm pronouncing it wrong. I just lost how to say it.
Oh, okay, that's
Is
fine.
really ger in Yiddish. Mm-hmm. It's the ger, you've heard of the ger Hasidic dynasty. And I knew that the synagogue, the shell of the synagogue, was still there. So I went to find it. And everything on this journey took a long time, like a really long time, because I didn't communicate, right, with anybody. So to find it, I said, over here, synagogue, Żydowski, I've learned a few words. Finally I found the synagogue, and it's this big brick building, and it's, okay. There's like it used to be a warehouse, and then the Ger Hasidim took ownership of it again, and now it's a pilgrimage site, and they have like a ritual space inside, like a prayer space. It was closed though. So now let me find the cemetery. What else do you look for? So I go looking for it. And Góra Kalwaria is not a small town. It's a decent sized town. It's not Warsaw. It's not giant, right? But not a small town. And I'm trying to get directions from people, to the Cmentarno Żydowski, right? And so I'm walking. I think I'm going in the right direction because I knew the cemetery had to be on the edge of the town. And so I get to the I'm walking down a quiet residential street. And as I'm walking down the street, coming out of his house is this little old man coming out of the house, going to his mailbox, right? So I come up to him, I say, Cmentarno Żydowski. And he says, and he answers me in Polish, right? And I say, I didn't understand what you said. Give him a dumb look, right? And he says, "Du suchst die Beis Oilem?" Right? You're looking for the Jewish cemetery. And I look at him, and I look down at him like this. I said, "Ich red mit a Yid?" He says, "Ja." Right? And I go, and so I was like totally taken aback. And so we spent the next 2 hours together. I went into his house, to his living room, and I see his living room, and a nice house, country kind of house. And I see like he just walked out of his living room, his salon, and there on the table is a glaze latte, with a little spoon in it, and a book open, Die ganze Werk von Shalom Aleichem, open on the table like he had just finished reading and walked out to check his mail, right? It turns out he's one of 3 Jews that live in Góra Kalwaria. Only 3. Remember, this is not an itsy bitsy village, right? And he's the only one that currently lives there, that was there before the war, that is there after the war. And so I was like, how in the world is that even possible? Like, it should be like 0 probability, right? That we would run into each other, that he would be walking out of his house like this. It was like this. Oh, exactly the same timing that I would happen upon him. Chaim David Weisbord. So that was mind-blowing, to say the least. And we spent a couple hours together, and it was a Sunday, and his granddaughter was coming from Warsaw with her fiancé. And she was very nice, and she spoke English. She was young and sophisticated, spoke English. Anyway, his story, long and short of his story, was, like first I was, für was ist sie geblieben, turns out that he was he was hidden by a Polish family. He was hidden in their house, and that's how he survived. And he fell in love with the daughter, and the daughter became his wife. And in the other room, I met his wife. And his wife was in very bad shape. She had just recently had a stroke, so she was kind of in bed, in very bad shape, but still she could speak in Polish, not Yiddish. He translated for me what she was saying. She was a real Jewophile, right? She was a big, strong supporter of Israel, right? And and he ended up working for her father, who had orchards, so he stayed, and raised a family. And I had very interesting conversations with his granddaughter about what, she was teased growing up, being, partly Jewish, and people knew that. And it was quite a remarkable encounter. And I got some insight into their current thought about Jews in Poland from their point of view, Not a good thought. not a good thought, which was remarkable because there are hardly any Jews left. So that was a providential kind of encounter. But I had other encounters, not quite as crazy as that one in terms of probability, but also equally remarkable in my journey. Just kind of like, let me just walk, and I'm just going to go. It's almost like water follows follows the path of least resistance, and that's what this journey was like. And it just kind of led me where I had to go. And I have a lot of photographs from that experience, and he brought out a photograph of him, his wedding picture of him and his wife after the war. It's quite amazing.